Welcome to the Heal Your Hunger Show, where we get to the heart of why you overeat and how to stop. If you struggle with food and weight like I did, welcome home. Welcome to the Heal Your Hunger Show, where we talk about all things emotional eating. And if you're not sure if you're an emotional eater, just stick around. Better yet, take my quiz, Are You an Emotional Eater or a Food Addict? Get your personal score. You can go to the show notes here at healyourhunger.com or the homepage of healyourhunger.com. But check it out. Take the quiz, get your personalized score, and find out not only if you're an emotional eater or a food addict, but where you are on the spectrum, because it's all a continuum. And so you'll find out where you are in the spectrum with your personal score and, get some tips on what to do about it. So, but if you aren't sure, it doesn't matter. If you're here because you are struggling with food and weight issues, or you think you might be an emotional eater, this is definitely the place to hang out. So glad to have you here. Really appreciate that. Now, we just had a contest that just finished up, and I want to announce the two winners of the contest. And this was for the most meaningful review on iTunes. And the first one winner is Diane V. So super happy for her. And her review is this. I'm going to read it. She said, "Amazing work, Tricia. I have struggled with my weight all my life. I came across your website, Heal Your Hunger, the Heal Your Hunger show, the podcast on my website, about 8 months ago. As soon as I listened to your first podcast, they made so much sense to me that it was a light bulb moment. I knew it was the answer. You really got me thinking about why I was overeating. I knew I was an emotional eater, but did not know what that really meant until you explained it. Since then, I have gone into counseling, attend a Beyond Trauma course in the community, now back into counseling to do inner family work, and soon to start a course on shame." Wow, that's a lot of action in 8 months. She says, "You have changed my life so much that I cannot go back to where I was. I've lost 30 pounds with 20 more to go. I've listened to all your podcasts and saved them on my computer and have listened to them several times, and have learned so much from them. Tricia, you make it so easy to relate and connect with you because you are not afraid to show the real you." That's so sweet. She continues by saying, "I have not purchased your book or program yet because of finances, but definitely plan to. I cannot thank you enough for all that you've done for me. It brings tears to my eyes. You are an angel sent from heaven. Please do not stop what you're doing because you are making a difference." Diane, thank you so much. That is the sweetest. Those are very meaningful and sweet words, and I really appreciate your taking the time to write that. It's a beautiful testimonial, and it's so gratifying because I want somebody to get those results, and you're one of those somebodies, many people, hopefully. So you are going to receive a shirt, the Eat in Peace shirt, as well as 2 signed copies, one of my book and one of my husband's books. So we'll be connecting with you by email to get that information from you. But thank you, really, thank you so much. The other one is from Dan P. And he said, "I had the pleasure of meeting Roy and Tricia in 1996 when I was living in New England. They helped me to grow in my recovery, and it's been a blessing to learn from them since then. Roy and Tricia have helped so many people uncover their fears and eliminate the need for using alcohol, food, or other harmful behaviors to numb pain. Praying that you will keep impacting many people's lives." And that's super sweet. And I do know Dan. I remember him, and he became a friend since then, and is super healthy, slimmed down, and is really into health now. And it's just a beautiful thing to see. So thank you, Dan. Thanks for taking the time to leave that meaningful review. So you'll be getting a care package as well. So that's really nice. And, this is definitely a labor of love, sharing on this podcast and in my course, in my book. I mean, everything that I do is all about helping people finally jump off of the diet merry-go-round, jump off to safe footing, the safe footing of addressing and healing the underlying causes, because that's what it's about. If you find yourself reaching for cookies when you don't intend to, or better, if you know you don't want to eat that candy that's in the bowl at work, and you do it anyway, it's not just because you like candy. It goes much deeper than that. And so that's really what we're here to talk about. And today I've got a great topic. And so it's the dangers of health food. And yes, health food can be dangerous. And I'm going to share something from my personal experience this past weekend, because this is what got me thinking about this topic. I was at a training, a 2-day training with some of the healthiest people on the planet. Okay, these are my friends and associates and people that I network with and go to trainings with, and they're doctors, they're surgeons, they're health practitioners, chiropractors, they're just super functional medicine doctors, and they're super healthy people, and they are so inspiring to be with and to hang out with, to eat food with. The whole conference or training I was at, they were serving the healthiest of healthy food. So I had no problems, getting my food needs met. Sometimes it's a struggle if you're eating at a hotel to get, food that's clean and not just gunked up with a bunch of, gluten and sugar and, soy and other things that aren't so healthy. So it was great along those lines. But there were some healthy foods that were problematic for me. And it got me thinking about the fact that, healthy foods can be a real trap for emotional eaters. And I certainly have had this experience. When a food is called, quote, healthy, sometimes it's a license for emotional eaters, or they use it as a license to overeat. And I know I've done this, just sort of denial is a tough trait for emotional eaters, for all people who have addictive personalities, because we're always looking for an excuse to eat the things we really want to eat, right? So if somebody says, oh, it's healthy, we're like, oh, no problem. Serve me some more, let me get my third helping. But that doesn't mean that it's healthy for us. And that doesn't mean that if we overeat on it, it's going to, keep us healthy and slim. So really important to be aware of that word healthy. But I'm going to dig into this further because it's not just about that. Now, for me, the problem arose when they had health bars there for us to eat. And these health bars, first of all, if you've read my book, you know that that I'm a big proponent of something called 3-meal magic, which is eating 3 meals with nothing in between. And so a bar as a snack is not a good idea. And it's not part of the 3-meal magic plan. And so people snack. I mean, snacking for normal folks who aren't emotional eaters is no big deal, right? They get a little dip in between breakfast and lunch, or lunch and dinner, and so they snack. Well, that's fine. But if you're an emotional eater, snacking can just be perpetual. It can be grazing, and it can be really fattening. We could end up packing on so many pounds and not knowing why. It's because those little handfuls of nuts or those little handfuls of candy add up and in calories and in fat for us. So that's why snacking is just, it's not a good plan for me. And I've been blessed to be able to live in a thin body for close to 30 years because of 3-meal magic and sticking to that by the grace of God. So the idea that there were bars aplenty, things that we could snack on that were healthy. I mean, these are really good ingredients. Bars, not all bars are equal. So there are bars that are super unhealthy and have corn syrup, in them, and sugar and all kinds of things that really don't make for a healthy bar. These were healthy bars. However, for me personally, not only because they were snack food, were they unhealthy for me, but also because they have sugar alcohols in them. And I am suffering with something called SIBO, which is a small intestinal bacteria overgrowth. And so sugar alcohols are out for me, even though they can be an amazing solution for an emotional eater, like because they don't have to have sugar, which is addictive. They can have a sugar alcohol, which is like maltitol or sorbitol or mannitol or erythritol, anything with tol, T-O-L at the end. That can be okay for some people, and it's a great sugar substitute if you don't have gastroenterological issues. If you've got GI issues, sugar alcohols wreak havoc on your gut. They give you gas for one thing. Really, it can be really stinky gas. So that's bad. That's strike number one. They also just make you bloated. I mean, you can seriously look pretty bloated and pregnant if you eat enough sugar alcohols. And sugar alcohol it's not sugar and it's not alcohol. Just FYI, I've never heard of it. It's just a undigestible substance that has a sweet flavor to it, and so they use it as a sugar substitute. Well, it can really wreak havoc on your system, and you can actually get gut issues if you didn't have gut issues from eating this. And that's probably why I have SIBO, because I did used to eat a good amount of this substance. Anyway, it's not healthy for me, even if I were snacking, or even if I were, happy about the ingredients. Otherwise, the sugar alcohols alone would make it an unhealthy choice for me. So why am I telling all this? Well, because sitting there with people at a training, working on some really mind-bending information for me, tough stuff that makes me have to think harder, that combination of being stressed and overwhelmed with information and then having bars sitting around me, it made it a little bit tempting. And so, emotional eating is eating over stress or emotions that are uncomfortable to feel. And at that moment, I was feeling some uncomfortable feelings because I was having to think real hard and really stretch beyond my comfort zone in terms of the information I was trying to take in. So there are these bars here, and everybody who's healthy is eating them. So it's easy for me to say, oh, well, they're health bars. Like, they're super healthy bars. Why not? And by the way, these doctors are eating them. Why not? But it's really important to know that health food in and of itself doesn't mean good food for everyone. And so it's really important that you get hip to this sort of game that you may be playing with yourself, which is to eat healthy food. Perhaps you're not eating Doritos, you're eating bean chips, okay? Chips made out of beans, much healthier option than Doritos, not all the additives and crap. Yet, if you're eating a whole bag of bean chips, not a good thing and not healthy. And so it's really important to start to get honest about what your pattern is and whether you can handle certain health foods. I mean, I'll tell you right now, you can get really fat eating at Whole Foods, okay? I mean, Whole Foods, as wonderful as their foods are, if you overeat at Whole Foods, you'll get fat. And if you eat certain foods, you will break out in a binge. I know this from personal experience. I have, many moons ago, I at one time binged at several Whole Foods in a day. Again, with that strange warped idea that I was somehow sparing myself from harm because I was binging at Whole Foods. Well, guess what? Sure. Is it better than Dairy Queen? Absolutely. Is it healthy? No, not at all. I mean, I was hurting my body. I was abusing myself with food because I was eating sugar and fat and starch, my favorite three food groups. And so I can't do that, even if it's a healthier form of it. And so I want to just warn you to beware of health foods because they come cloaked in some sort of excuse to overeat for the emotional eater and the rationalizing mind that we tend to have. Give me an excuse and I will use it. Have a doctor prescribe a late night snack for me, even though I know that 3 meals a day and not snacking at night is the best option for me, because eating late at night can really be a setup for a late night binge, or it just simply not be good for my metabolism, because it's feeding my body, and then I'm going straight to sleep on my food, and I'm waking up kind of uncomfortable, and not with that clean, hungry feeling, but that feeling of, I ate the night before. Even if it's not a binge, my body just feels better and happier when I don't eat a snack at night. But if a doctor tells me to because I have adrenal issues, which I've done, again, there's nothing I share here that's just intellectual surmising. Like, I'm telling you from personal experience. I've had a doctor tell me to support my adrenals to eat a snack at night, even though I know better, even though I know my pattern, even though I know 3 Meal Magic is the best possible solution for me. I've thought, well, the doctor said it's best for my adrenals. I better do what's best for my adrenals. And guess what? When it's not good for my body overall, when it's not good for my mind, the emotional eater mind, it's not a good choice for me, even if the isolated issue of my adrenals is at play. I'm better off doing what's overall best for me and my body, and letting my adrenals, work themselves out or be, supported in some other way than a late night snack. And so beware of doctor's orders, because the doctor doesn't have to fight food the way you do. Okay, the doctor doesn't know what it's like to not fit into his genes. The doctor doesn't understand the mental obsession with food and weight. And this is where another issue comes up, which is that you have to filter all information through the mind of the emotional eater. You can go to a dietitian, and a dietitian can say to you, you should eat this, this, and this. You should eat, a baked potato with your dinner. It's healthy if you don't put butter and sour cream on it. Well, guess what? Not for all people. Potatoes can be triggering because they metabolize as sugar. And if you're have a tendency towards sugar addiction, guess what? That potato is not going to be a healthy choice. The rice isn't going to be a healthy choice either. And so you can't be a dummy here. You can't just say, well, the dietitian said so, and she's a dietitian, the nutritionist said so, the doctor said so. It's really time to take responsibility for your health. And even if something's healthy or a healthy choice, ostensibly, it doesn't mean it's healthy for you. And so it's really important to get honest. And a lot of this has to do with us lying to ourselves. We know better. And yet we're looking for an excuse to eat the things we really want to eat instead of the things that are super good for our bodies. So just beware of that little sneaky rationalizing brain that says, well, I heard it was healthy. And this is true. I mean, the marketers know about this. I mean, they put things on labels like gluten-free or sugar-free or fat-free to entice people to buy it with the thought that, oh, it's going to be healthy for me because it says it's gluten-free. There are so many a jillion gluten-free products that are packed with sugar because they're gluten-free. I mean, they're focusing on gluten, not on sugar. So they're packed with sugar, so they're still tasty and purchasable and consumable. So sugar-free products aren't necessarily gluten-free. They're not necessarily chemical-free. Same with fat-free. And so, added vitamins and minerals, that doesn't mean it's a healthy food. It just means that it's devoid of vitamins and minerals because it's crap. And so they put vitamins and minerals back in. And you can bet the quality of vitamins and minerals is crap too. So we have to be, smart. We have to start being self-caring in our choices and conscious of our choices, and not just looking for excuses to eat foods that aren't actually healthy simply because there's a veil of healthiness to them. For me, there's a lot of foods in Whole Foods that don't work for me. I mean, if I go, I live literally a block from Whole Foods. It's awesome. I love it. I'm not a big cook, so I go there often to buy some foods, usually protein to put in my salads because I'm a salad girl. But they have prepared foods, like they have prepared chicken salad, different forms of chicken salad with different dressings, different mayonnaises or whatever. And I have to read the labels because not all of them are good for me. Some of them have sugar, high up on their list of ingredients, and they're going to set me off if they have sugar. Will I go have a binge? Not necessarily, but if it's sweet and really tasty, I'll probably buy it more often, and I'll be a little bit hooked on that particular thing. I'll be thinking about eating that chicken salad at Whole Foods, and it'll direct my actions sometimes, and I'll work my day around being able to get to Whole Foods, eat that chicken salad. Well, that's slavery. I don't want to live that way. I don't want to be enslaved to the chicken salad at Whole Foods because it has sugar in the dressing, and I like the sweet taste. So this is tricky, this being an emotional eater. It's tricky, and we get tricked often. And so I want you to become conscious of the idea of a health food and the fact that it's not necessarily healthy for you. And you got to take that into consideration. My husband has been morbidly obese. He was on the last show, actually, and he's been morbidly obese. He has major food allergies, just like I do, sensitivities and things that cause him to gain weight really easily. Both of us have challenged metabolisms. They work, but not as fast as others. Metabolism. So we don't even eat the same foods. There are foods that are safe for me and clean for me that he can't eat. They don't work for him. Like they would upset his tummy, or he wouldn't, or he'd gain weight very easily. And so our bodies are different. There are foods he eats that I couldn't eat because they would trigger me. And I'm not talking about sugar or bars. I'm talking about like just healthy foods that for me have caused me problems in the past. So I have to take that into account. And I have to not say, well, spiritual healer and mentor Roy Nelson, the guy who's been thin for 40 years, he can eat that food. Why can't I? Because I have a different body than he does. We're all different. And this is, important to realize, is that there's no one size fits all recommendation for food. I talk in my program, in my course, about your divine physician. And it's really important that we filter every bit of information. There's great information out there. There's amazing books. I have amazing health, friends in the health field, doctors and health coaches and scientists who have amazing recommendations for healthy living. But they don't all work for me because I'm an emotional eater. So I have to filter everything through my own personal, not only being an emotional eater, but also my particular food needs and my health needs. I have SIBO. Sugar alcohols are fine for everybody else at the training. They don't work for me because I have this condition of SIBO, so which I'm working to get over. But the point is, you have a divine physician within you that you must check in with. And this physician is the ultimate voice, the ultimate authority on what works for you. And you must check in with this divine physician in order to have sanity and peace around food. Don't take somebody else's word for it. Don't be sucked into believing that somebody else's food plan is going to work for you. Don't be allured by the marketing on packaging that says gluten-free or sugar-free. Don't think that's going to work for you or not trigger you. Really important to take into consideration your health needs, your emotional needs, your needs as an emotional eater, to not be triggered and not get obsessed about something where it owns you. These are important considerations, and your divine physician, if you check in, if you get honest, will show you the way and help you make the right choices so that you aren't, falling down a rabbit hole just because it's a health food. So really important to know that. And I really hope you'll take this to heart. You deserve to enjoy your food. You deserve to have healthy, yummy foods that don't make you obsessed. And that's important. I can't eat foods that will make me want to eat more of them in inappropriate amounts. I have to, the crazy hard thing about being an emotional eater is you have to eat 3 times a day. You must eat. And so you've got to take that tiger out of the cage 3 times a day. pet it, and put it back in the cage without getting your ass torn off. So that's not easy. Alcoholics don't have that problem. They can put the plug in the jug. So on account of this tightrope that we walk, you must get conscious and clear and honest and self-caring about your choices, no matter who's saying what. Okay, and that's really the message here, is that you have a divine physician inside that will tell you what's right if you're willing to listen and obey. So do follow the doctor's orders, but make sure it's your divine physician ultimately. Sure, consult a doctor, consult a dietitian, read the books, take all the information in, and then filter it. Bring it, present it to your divine physician, check in with yourself, make sure something isn't making you crazy or craving, and then follow through with what you know to be best. All right. Thanks so much. I hope you'll leave a review on iTunes. We definitely appreciate that. And just feel free to reach out on the Heal Your Hunger Facebook page. Love to hear from you. Thanks so much. You take good care.
If you enjoyed this show and want to get free support, insider health info, exclusive invites to events, and more, visit healyourhunger.com.